Hello and welcome everyone. This is Minu at AngloLink. Today's lesson is lesson number 9 in our series Learn the English Tenses. And it completes our review of future tenses. In lessons 6 and 7 we looked at future simple, I will do, going to future, I'm going to do, and the use of the present continuous tense to indicate a future arrangement. Now, if you haven't seen those two lessons yet, I recommend that you go and watch them first and then come back to see this video. In today's lesson, we're going to look at future continuous, I will be doing, future perfect, I will have done, and future perfect continuous, I will have been doing. By the end of this video, you will have a clear idea on how to formulate these three future forms and how to use them. So when you're ready, we can begin. Right then, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. Let's start with formulation. Future continuous. To formulate the future continuous tense, you just need will and be plus the ing form of the verb. I will be playing. And it stays the same for all pronouns. You, he, she, it, we, you, and they will be playing. Let's look at future perfect. To formulate the future perfect tense, you need will have and the past participle of your verb. I will have played. And it stays the same for all the pronouns. You, he, she, it, we, you, and they will have played. Let's look at future perfect continuous. As you can imagine, it's the two together. Will have been and the ing form of your verb. I will have been playing. And it remains the same for all the pronouns. You, he, she, it, we, you, and they will have been playing. Right then, let's have a look at usage now, starting with future continuous. Future continuous has two usages. The first one is an action in progress at a specific time in the future. It is the equivalent of the present continuous tense or the past continuous tense. For example, in the present continuous, you would say they are flying to Tokyo at this moment. In the past continuous tense, you would say they were flying to Tokyo at this time yesterday. And in the future continuous tense, it will be they will be flying to Tokyo at this time tomorrow. Now, the second usage of the future continuous is occasionally an alternative to going to for a future plan or be doing for a future arrangement. We looked at these future forms, going to and present continuous, in lessons 6 and 7. If you haven't watched those lessons, I recommend that you review these tenses using those two videos. So, to remind you, for a future plan, we usually use going to. For example, are you going to use the car this evening? Future continuous is an alternative here. You can say, will you be using the car this evening? For a future arrangement, we saw that we use the present continuous tense. I'm having dinner with Sue this evening. Once again, the future continuous tense can replace this form. I will be having dinner with Sue this evening. Okay, let's have a look at the timeline for the future continuous tense. They will be flying to Tokyo this time tomorrow. Right, let's move on to our next tense, which is future perfect. Future perfect refers to an action that will be completed in the future, either before a specific moment or before another action takes place. As you can see, it's the equivalent of present perfect or past perfect in the future. Let's look at some examples. They will have left for Tokyo by this time tomorrow. The film will have finished by midnight. She will have done her homework by the time we arrive. We will have painted the house by the time she returns. Note that the second or later action is always in the present simple tense. Look at the last two examples. She will have done her homework by the time we arrive, or we will have painted the house by the time she returns. Let's look at the timeline for the future perfect tense. The film will have finished by midnight. Right, moving on now to the future perfect continuous tense. This tense indicates an action that will have started, will have continued for some time, and will still be in progress in the future, either before a specific moment or before another action takes place. Let's look at some examples. They will have been flying to Tokyo for a few hours by this time tomorrow. The film will have been running for 2 hours by midnight. She will have been doing her homework for several hours by the time we arrive. We will have been painting the house all day by the time she returns. Once again, note that the second or later action is always in the present simple tense. By the time we arrive and by the time she returns. Let's have a look at the timeline for this tense. We will have been painting all day by the time she returns. Right, let's wrap up by looking at some common mistakes. The most common mistake is using the future simple tense, I will do, instead of future continuous, future perfect, or future perfect continuous. Let's look at some examples. I will drive to work this time tomorrow. Action taking place at a specific time in the future. So not will drive, but future continuous, will be driving. Let's look at the next example. We will attend a conference next week. A future arrangement. Again, not future simple, will attend, but future continuous, will be attending. Let's look at another example. He will pack his bags tomorrow morning because he will leave for Mexico tomorrow afternoon. The first verb is a future plan, so not future simple, but future continuous. He will be packing. And the second verb, will leave, is a future arrangement. So once again, not simple, but continuous. Will be leaving. Let's look at the next example. The show will end by 7 p.m. Action completed before a specific time in the future. So once again, not future simple, but this time future perfect. Will have ended. The show will have ended by 7 p.m. Next example. She will go to bed by the time we get back. Once again, an action completed in the future before another action. So let's change the future simple to future perfect. She will have gone to bed by the time we get back. Moving on to our next example. They will work here for 20 years by the end of the year. So this time we have an action in the future that will have started and will have continued for some time before the end of the year. So this time we need the future perfect continuous. They will have been working here for 20 years by the end of the year. Right then, that's all for this lesson on future tenses. I hope you've enjoyed it. As you know, the next thing to do is to go to our website, anglolink.com, for further explanations and exercises. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Bye now.